ready for that response. She tried to backtrack, claiming she didn't mean it like that and that she was just testing my commitment. But I was done. I told her I wouldn't tolerate manipulation and that our relationship was clearly not built on the trust and respect I thought it was. She pleaded, cried, and even threatened to tell people I had abandoned her, but I stayed firm. I helped her pack her things, called her a cab, and told her we were done. It's been a few days, and while part of me feels relieved to have her out of my life, another part is still processing the betrayal. I keep wondering if I missed the signs earlier, or if the money truly was the trigger for her behavior. For now, I'm focusing on myself, setting boundaries, and learning from this experience. If there's one thing this ordeal taught me, it's that love without respect and honesty isn't worth holding on to, no matter how good it once seemed. Changed. The tears stopped almost instantly, replaced by cold anger. Fine, she snapped, grabbing her phone and angrily dialing the real estate agent. I stood there, arms crossed, listening as she fumbled through excuses to cancel the deposit. Once it was done, I handed her the suitcase I had finished packing. Now you have everything you need. I suggest you find somewhere else to stay tonight. She glared at me, her eyes filled with resentment. You're going to regret this, she hissed. Maybe, I replied, but I doubt it. At least now, I can live my life without constantly wondering if you're with me, or for my bank account. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The moment she was gone, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief. It was like a weight I hadn't even realized I was carrying had been lifted. Looking back on it all, I realized that the relationship had been over the moment money became the focus. Love shouldn't come with ultimatums or manipulative tactics. Now, I'm focusing on moving forward, learning from this experience, and protecting both my heart and my finances. Froze, clearly not expecting me to have thought this far ahead. You can't do this to me, she said, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and desperation. I gave you 3 years of my life. And I thought we had something real, I replied calmly. But you showed me what you truly value, and it's not me, it's my money. You made your choice, and now I'm making mine. She stood there for a moment, glaring at me, before grabbing her suitcase and storming toward the door. You'll regret this, she spat, slamming it behind her. As soon as she was gone, I locked the door and sat down to process everything. The past few months had been a whirlwind of manipulation, entitlement, and betrayal. But now, for the first time in a long time, I felt free. Over the next few weeks, I focused on closing the joint account, updating my legal documents, and making sure my finances were secure. The $5,000 deposit eventually returned, and I used it to cover a well-deserved vacation for myself. Looking back, I can see how blinded I was by what I thought was love. But this experience taught me the importance of trusting my instincts and protecting my boundaries. I may have lost a relationship, but I gained peace of mind, and that's priceless. You recorded me? That's a violation of my privacy, she shrieked. We live in a one-party consent state, I replied. And given what just happened, I'd say I was right to be cautious. She stormed off to make the call to cancel the deposit, cursing under her breath the whole time. I continued packing her things, making sure to separate any items we'd bought together. I could hear her in the other room, alternating between sweet-talking the real estate agent and threatening them with legal action when they explained the deposit return might take a few days. While she was busy with that, I sent quick messages to my family to explain the situation before she could spin her own narrative. I also posted a simple relationship status update on social media. Single. Nothing dramatic, no details, just that one word. Within minutes, her phone started blowing up with notifications. When she came back, she was furious. The deposit will take 3 to 5 business days to return. You need to transfer money into the joint account to cover any upcoming bills. No, I don't, I replied. I've already paid this month's bills. The joint account can be closed once the deposit returns. You have your own account for personal expenses. That's when she played her final card. My name is on the lease too. You can't just kick me out. Actually, I can, I replied. I've already spoken to the landlord. Since I've been paying 100% of the rent from my personal account, not our joint account, he's willing to remove you from the lease. You have 30 days to find a new place as required by law, but I strongly suggest you start staying with friends or family immediately. She threw everything she could think of at me, threats of legal action, promises to change, accusations of emotional abuse, claims that I owed her for the years she spent with me. When none of that worked, she switched to bargaining, offering to sign a prenup if we got married, suggesting we look at cheaper properties, and even proposing we just take a break and revisit the beach house discussion in a few months. I stood firm. The deposit needs to be back in the account within 5 business days. You have 30 days. I told her to get her remaining things out of the apartment and that any communication about these matters should go through my lawyer. I handed her my lawyer's business card, another precaution I'd taken after the inheritance came through. She spent the next hour alternating between packing, crying, and trying to negotiate. I stayed calm, focusing on helping her pack the essentials. Every time she tried to argue or manipulate, I redirected her back to the task at hand. Finally, her sister came to pick her up. As they loaded her things into the car, I overheard my ex trying to spin the story, painting herself as the victim. To her sister's credit, she just kept saying, "We'll talk about it at home." The fallout over the next few days was intense. She tried to turn our mutual friends against me by claiming I had promised her marriage and the beach house, only to cruelly pull the rug out from under her. But her story kept changing with each telling, and her previous social media posts about surprising her with a beach house contradicted her claims that I had promised it. The real estate deposit was returned within the promised time frame, and I immediately closed our joint account and documented everything. My lawyer sent her a formal letter outlining the lease situation and property division process, which helped prevent any further financial entanglements. She made several attempts to contact me through mutual friends, each time with a different approach. One day she was apologetic, claiming she'd had a wake-up call. The next, she was threatening to expose me to potential future partners in our social circle. Her friends started reaching out too, trying to convince me I was being too harsh and should give her another chance. I held firm. Any communication attempts were directed to my lawyer. Within 2 weeks, she found a new place to live and sent her brother to collect the rest of her things while I had a friend present as a witness. Everything was documented and photographed to prevent any future claims of missing items. The most satisfying moment came when she tried telling people that she broke up with me because I was financially controlling. Her own social media history showed her bragging about the upcoming beach house purchase and planning a wedding that was never agreed upon. Several friends called her out on the contradictions, and she ended up deleting most of her social media accounts. In the end, my careful documentation and calm approach paid off. The lease was successfully transferred, all property was divided without legal issues, and the joint account was closed without complications. My ex's attempts to manipulate the narrative failed because she couldn't keep her story straight, and her own social media posts contradicted her various versions of events. It's been a few months now, and I'm relieved I trusted my instincts about documenting everything. The inheritance wasn't just about money. It was a revelation of character. It showed me who truly cared about me and who saw me as a means to an end. I've since invested the money wisely, bought a reasonable house for myself, not a beach house, and I'm focusing on my own goals. Looking back, I realized that the inheritance revealed her true character, and her reaction to my boundaries showed me I made the right choice. Sometimes the greatest gift money can give you isn't what you can buy with it, but what it shows you about the people in your life.